Hello and welcome to my apartment. So first off, let's make sure you have a clean counter space, and then next, make sure that you wash your hands. It's for not only your safety, but your guest safety. All right, so now that you have a clean counter space and everything set up, let's go through a list of what you'll need. For utensils, you'll need 2 mixing bowls, measuring cups, measuring spoons, a pie tin, of course, a stirring spoon for the apples, a rolling pin, an apple slicer, a paring knife, a cutting board, and then wax paper. That's optional, but I'll show you how to use that later. And next, let's go through a list of ingredients that you'll need. 2/3 cup sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, 3/4 teaspoons of cinnamon, a dash of nutmeg, 6 to 8 tart apples, but you'll notice I'm not using tart apples here, but I'll tell you about that later. 1/2 cup brown sugar, 1/2 cup oatmeal, and 1/2 cup or 1 stick butter. For the pie crust, you'll need 1 3/4 cup of flour, a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 cup of milk, and 1/2 cup of salad oil. Let's go ahead and preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Okay, so now the oven is preheating while you're getting everything ready. So, first, you need to core and pare the apples. So you'll notice that I am not using tart apples. I am using a couple different kinds. And so tart apples, I guess, taste better because it's mixed with all the sugar. But I use whatever is cheapest in the store because I am a college student. And then also another tip is to place a plastic bag into the sink. So when you have the core, you can just place it in. So when you're all finished, you can just throw it into the garbage. And so safety first, make sure you're paying attention to what you do at all times. So with this, you're going to be taking the skin off of your apple. So you can leave the skin on, like it's completely edible, but it's just for aesthetic purposes. When the finished product comes out, you don't want that chewiness in there. You want the nice soft texture. Okay, now that all your apple is sliced, you're gonna go ahead and put them into the bowl, of course, like you've been seeing me put in this whole time, and it's gonna be about 6 cups. So go ahead and mix the first 4 ingredients. So you have 2/3 cup of sugar and 2 tablespoons flour, and the flour is to make sure it's thicker when it's all finished. It's not really watery. And then 3/4 teaspoon cinnamon. And then also just a dash of nutmeg. So it's how much you want, it's just personal preference. So I like a little spicy, so a dash of nutmeg. And then just go ahead and mix it all in until it is evenly mixed. Okay, now that you're all done mixing the apples, and that's nice and even, go ahead and set that on the side. So now it's next time to make the pie crust. It's really simple. You're going to need 1 3/4 cup of flour. So go ahead and put the flour into the bowl, and you'll also need 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 cup of milk, and then also 1/2 cup of salad oil in there, and you're gonna go ahead and mix that all up. Okay, and once you're all done stirring that, now it's time to actually make the crust. So this part is where you're going to want your wax paper. You're going to go ahead and take the wax paper and make 2 strips around 1.5 feet. And put 1 on the bottom. And then 1 on top. So now that you have your dough in front of you, and press it down, and then take the rolling pin and go ahead and roll it out nice and thin. So you want it nice and even, and about 1/4 of an inch thick, or 1/4 of an inch thin, I should say. So after you're all done rolling that out, you're going to go ahead and remove the top strip and take your pie tin. And then put your pie tin in the center and lift up and press in. So then when you're peeling it, be careful, but it might rip in a couple places, but it's no big deal because you can just press it because it is a pie crust and it sticks to each other. So then for the crust that's laying over the edges of the pan, you're going to want to make that into ridges around the entire thing. So just pinch them with your fingers and just make that nice even ridge. So then for this, you're going to want your stick of butter, and it should be pretty softened by this time. So make sure to keep that in mind, that you're going to want it softened. And then it should come out nice and even, and go ahead and place that also into your bag right in the sink. Easy disposable. And then you're going to want half a cup of brown sugar, and go ahead and add that in. And then also half a cup of oats. Okay, set that aside. It's a little less healthy with the stick of butter, but it's worth it. So now you have your pie crust, then you have this, and then you're going to want to pour your apple mixture into it. Okay, so once you're done adding the apples on top, you're going to go ahead and put the crust on top. And go ahead and put it over the top. So just space it out, a little here, a little there. Okay, so now that that's all done, you're gonna go ahead and take your pie and put it into the oven, being careful not to burn yourself. Okay, now that the pie's in the oven, you're gonna wanna set the timer. The baking time on it is 45 to 50 minutes, but a little tip is I always set it for a little less time. So I'm going to set it for 40 minutes because it's better to be underdone than overdone because you can always cook it more. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's nice and brown, and make sure you check it a couple times before taking it out. And then when you're taking it out, you want to make sure to be nice and careful. And then you want to let it cool for a couple hours so you don't burn yourself, first off, and then second off to make sure everything sets. And other than that, you are good to go. And make sure that you turn the oven off and do dishes. Enjoy.